The Biden administration has allowed Ukraine to use long-range missiles to strike inside Russian territory for the first time as of just a couple of days ago. This is a pretty big development in the war. For a long time, President Biden held off of doing this, despite President Zelensky of Ukraine asking him over and over again to allow him to do so, to kind of level the playing field of the war. But at last, Biden has relented. And I feel like the first big question here is, why the shift?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think it's two parts. One is a tactical reason. The Russian government has recently brought in 50,000 North Korean troops, and these 50,000 North Korean troops are being centered outside of the Kursk region, where the Ukrainians originally made progress into Russia proper, and these North Korean troops are going to be used to try to push Ukraine out. So one of the big tactical advantages of this is that now Ukraine is going to be able to hit ammunition depots of these North Korean troops with the North Korean equipment and try to neutralize that threat prior to. Also, it's Biden sending a message to North Korea specifically saying, stay the hell out.
Okay.
There's a tactical reason there.
Yeah, I think I do see I saw reporting about the tactical reasons of that Ukraine probably would first use these missiles like right outside the portion of Kursk that they hold, or to fight off Russians that are fighting back inside it. As far as like stay away to North Korea, I think it's the same thing to Putin as far as like tit for tat retaliation.
Yeah.
You escalated by including the North Koreans. You do not get to do that without consequences.
Yeah.
So do you think does it have a meaningful impact on the fighting? I mean, obviously we're not, I don't know.
Yeah, we're not military strategists. I read military history like I'm a 40-year-old man, but that doesn't mean I know anything about this stuff. Do I think it has a major impact on the war? No, I don't.
Really?
Do I think it could possibly slow down the timeline of when the North Koreans and Russian troops were going to attack the Kursk alcove that the Ukrainians made? Yeah, I do think that's possible.
It definitely will enable them to hit more infrastructure, whether it's transportation infrastructure or energy infrastructure.
Yes.
That would at least put pressure on Russia in the event of like negotiating a settlement.
Yes. So the first attack actually happened this morning with these weapons. Yeah. There were 6 missiles that went into the region, and it hit a North Korean ammo depot. Okay, 5 of them I think were shot down in the sky. 1 made partial contact. A fire started. There were no human casualties, but there was equipment damage, and that was the point: to blow up and destroy their logistical hubs. That's the plan. Cause chaos. During World War II, there were plenty of times where like troops are trying to station and try to get organized, and the Allies maybe didn't have the exact capabilities to bomb the hell out of the position. But what you would do is you would fly a plane through there every 20 minutes and shoot it up with some machine guns, and it might not cause any damage, but it gets everyone really scared.
Yeah.
Throws off the whole rhythm of everything, kind of delays inevitable action. So I think that might be an effect here. But there's also the political reason of why Biden would have done this outside of the tactical, and I think the political is probably the more important reason. Donald Trump will be president come January 20th, and I think it is safe to say that Donald Trump will be turning off the spigot for Ukraine weapons. I do not think that Ukraine will get nearly the same support. I think that's fair to say, even with the selection of Marco Rubio as Secretary of State, who is a China hawk, who has been a Russia hawk his entire career. I mean, this is someone who has prided himself on being one of the most hawkish foreign policy members of the United States Senate. Even he is starting to come around to wanting to reach a settlement in Ukraine instead of continuing the fight.
Yeah, the priority of the Trump administration is going to be ending the war. One lever that they have to do that is reducing the support to Ukraine. I think they're going to pull that lever. I think they'll also pull whatever levers they have to pressure Russia. But I think your point kind of is like Biden is trying to use these last 3 months or less, 2 months now, to put Ukraine in the best situation he can to be at that negotiating table. Knowing that like one of the first things Trump is going to try to do in office is be like, hey, let's go to the negotiating table right now.
Yeah, and listen, I'm against that. That's a shame. The Ukrainians have been fighting against Russian aggression for 2.5 years. What is it?
It's
3
almost
years?
3.
Almost 3 years. And I don't think that we should not reward Putin's behavior by granting him any of his demands. And from my understanding, the Ukrainians are still all and willing to fight this war. And until my position has always been, until the Ukrainian people have decided that they're done, America shouldn't be done. The West shouldn't be done. Until the Ukrainian people decide they're done, we should not be done. And I haven't seen that out of the Ukrainian people yet. I haven't seen that coming from their president. I haven't seen that coming from their populace, from their media. I haven't seen that from anything. It just seems like it would be the West abandoning them and just allowing bad behavior on the part of a dictator, which, is Putin.
Yeah, that's definitely one way to look at it.
That's a very sly way to saying you don't agree with me.
No, I don't disagree with you. It's just there's a much more positive perspective of like, this is us. This is ending war. And isn't ending war a good thing? And I don't know. It's hard because of the position that Ukraine is currently in. They are losing territory slowly but steadily. Reports are coming out that they're losing morale because the casualties that Ukraine is taking on the Eastern Front right now are too high to be able to maintain kind of a stalemate that this war has been at. Saying that optimistically sounds weird, but like Ukraine's been in a stalemate and now they're losing the war.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is like so you can try to give them more money to turn the war around, but Russia is going to keep throwing bodies at it, and now it can grab bodies from North Korea and keep throwing bodies at that. I guess I'm wondering whether you're saying as long as Ukraine wants to fight the war, we should be helping them fight the war.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any part of that equation that should come in that says as long as Ukraine wants to fight the war and we think there's gains to be made at this point, because if they made the projection that Russia is just going to keep steamrolling across more and more Ukrainian territory, then logically it's better to negotiate a settlement sooner rather than later.
Yeah,
because the settlement later will be a worse one.
See, I don't. Yes, and I don't think that the military analysts that I've read on this don't think that Ukraine is in a full rout.
Yeah.
Yet they're not.
I don't think they are either.
They're not. We were before the show. I think over the last couple months, Russia has taken 1% of Ukrainian
less
land.
than 1%.
Less than 1%. Ukraine isn't in a rout. Ukraine is still in Russia. Right, so it's unfair to just say that Ukraine has had a bad couple months and they're losing morale. Of course they're losing morale. The entire world seems to be abandoning them right now. Of course they're losing morale. You have an American electorate that just elected a guy who tells them that they're not going to give them any more weapons. You have the chancellor in Germany indicating that he might pull support. You have a whole backlash from the rest of Europe saying that they're no longer interested, except for the Baltic states and Poland, the people who are actually most affected by an actively incurring and hostile Russia. So of course they're going to lose morale there. But if I believe it's a chicken and an egg problem, and if the West can infuse morale into the Ukrainian situation instead of sucking it away. And I think that's one of the issues here, to be honest.
Yeah, I guess this is where maybe I just haven't been plugged in enough, because the West did, we passed the massive Ukrainian stimulus or support bill, right? And that was in February or something, coming up on the 2-year anniversary of the war. And maybe that was certainly a shot in the arm for morale, but it also hasn't resulted in, again, like the Ukrainians are still losing the war regardless. That's why, I don't know. I feel like it's weird that I'm playing devil's advocate. I want Ukraine to win this war. I want there to be a precedent in the world that it's not okay to invade a sovereign country's territory. And I think we've definitely, the Biden administration has been fantastic at setting that precedent so far. But is there a point where it like reality kicks in and it's like, you're saying it's not a route right now, but if it was a route, wouldn't it be too late? If it was a route and you had to come to the negotiating table, wouldn't that be the wrong decision? Like, wouldn't you have waited too long to come to the table?
Possibly. I mean, yeah, I get that, but as long as there's still a path, which I still believe that there is a path to win the war, and I don't think military analysts are sitting here saying that there's no path for Ukraine to successfully stop Russia's advancement. I don't think anyone's saying that that's impossible.
Okay.
You know?
I don't know.